Hello and welcome to this next in our series of the thread readings for the tapestry series. We're on to thread number 5, and I call this our inspiration. Okay, so the houses involved with this reading are houses 5 and 11. So this is like it's this bubble. It is really I like to think of it as the inner and outer child. It is us within, that sort of 3, 4, 5-year-old version of you that bounced out of bed and couldn't wait to get started on playing make-believe in creating your day. And then across the way is the 11th house, which is about you in the mix of other people, being within tribe, finding those, being that outer child with others. So you can have ideas of how to play make-believe within you. And then it's how do you apply that then when you're in your group of friends, so to speak. And whatever your pursuits are, whatever brings you joy, whatever brings you greater and greater passion, the very things that you could do all day long and totally lose track of time. That is all what is enveloped in this thread series, okay, in this particular thread. So first up, my description here reads, the inspiration of the wild one within and through connections to others, our humanity. So that this is an important thread for me because I have my North Node in my chart in this area. So this is a part of my mission here on the planet. We all have a mission, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be actually quite simple. But pursuit of joy and happiness and truly believing that life is supposed to be joyful and not wounded or less than or lack or struggle. The 5th house and this whole thread really doesn't understand those kinds of concepts. This is about that inspiration of wonder that is within everyone. So when you have your chart, and I've included links below of how to pull up your chart, it will look just like this out of astro.com. Of course, with your specifics, you'll need to know your birth date, the city and state and country, as well as your birth time. Having your exact birth time is really important because that's what sets up the house structure, all of these little pieces of pie here, as you see all these numbers in the middle. So what we're looking at is this piece of pie, the 5th house, okay? And what you're going to want to do when you have your chart pulled up is you're going to look at this line that is what kicks off the 5th house. And what symbol does that come down into? The first thing we're going to review is the element. So if you pull up your chart through astro.com, again, it will be similar looking in terms of its setup and the colors and everything. And if that line comes down into this orangey yellow like mine does here, that's the element of air. If it comes down into a blue sign, that is water. Red is fire, and green is earth. So you can look in my tools that are down below to link over to a description about what your element is. This is the house that is about that wild one within. This is what helps us to define what does that look like and how can I begin to embrace that. When I'm in need of inspiration, if my life out there is not feeling inspiring, if I'm not inspired within a tribe, within a group of some sort, you got to pull on this end of the string, of the thread. You got to start searching for inspiration from within. You got to pull up that 3, 4, 5-year-old version of you. And what does he or she find as wonder in this world? So your element is going to tell you, for instance, with it being air, I have Aquarius for this, for my 5th house. an air sign. This air is about mental, about learning, about communicating, about listening. It's all in the mental sphere, that processor that we have, okay, just like in a computer. That's what the air element is about. If it's water, it's going to be emotional, and it's going to be intuitive, and it's going to be kind of nurturing. It's going to be about that importance of the emotional depth of something. If it's fire, it's going to be about passion and drive and desire and things like moving your body and maybe exercising and things that get your blood pumping. It's a lot, there's a lot of energy with fire people. And then if it's earth, it's going to be more about having a documented set of goals, perhaps, or really, taking pride in maintaining your home, being organized. Again, I keep hearing like having a plan, being very grounded and methodical in the steps that you take. That is highly satisfying to an earth element. So that is the first piece. You look at that. Next, you're going to look at the sign that this line comes down into. So for me, this is Aquarius. And down below in the YouTube description is a link where you learn about each of the signs. And again, we're just layering on information. So for me, that inspiration from within, it comes with my element of lots of mental processing and reviewing of things. I am a professional communicator by trade, and it's what I do in my business as well. So that speaks to this sense of wonder and why I can do that all day long. But on top of that is Aquarius for me. So it's about new solutions, it's new combinations, and this ever rolling curiosity towards how can I bring together different elements. It's quite renegade energy, and where likely what feels wondrous and fun to me probably doesn't for a lot of other people, because Aquarians are kind of weird. They're out there on their interests, and by design, because the Aquarius, wherever it is in your chart, shows where you are the great inventor. This is where your genius steps in, because you have ideas that are outside of the box that allow you to expand and share your passion for whatever it is whatever combo you're putting together. So when I put, cards together with astrology in a certain way, I just get such a kick out of that, and I'm able to use that air element to, bring further definition to that through my communication. So I'm kind of oddball in this way, and I was an oddball kid too, in terms of what I look to as wonder and kind of what was enlightening to me. I was the kid who had an imaginary friend, and it's just this. It's kind of an odd energy, but it's where we really tinker with new solutions. So for you, you're going to want to look down at those signs and see what that element is, the essence of the sign is, and put that together with the information from the element that you have there. Again, this is what is like, ooh, it gets your engine running, and it makes you happy. It makes you happy when you embrace this fifth house. All right. The next thing you want to look at is if there's any planets or points in your sign, in your fifth house, and you'll just anything that appears within this piece of pie. So here and down below is a link to all of the glyphs. They're called all the insignias for the planets, as well as I put the North Node and Chiron in there as well as a link. I think that's its own link, so that you can learn about what those are, because that's important to know too. Like, you're bringing that energy. Each of the planets is a tool in your tool belt. And so you wanted to place that planet in this house. So if you have that, take a look at what the meanings are. So for me, I have this little set of headphones is known as the North Node of the Moon. This is the great mission that I have in this life. So this house is uber important for me in my astrological makeup. And I have fun. You can get even deeper because you can look at where the placement of that house is in terms of element and sign, which might be different than this one where you're the meaning of your fifth house. So it's just blending the information together. So my mission is definitely intuitive in nature and tapping into emotional intelligence within because it's in Pisces. And clearly this focus on fun and joy and inspiration and upliftment, but through communication, through new ways of putting things together. That's how I join my Aquarian fifth house. And I could do this stuff all day long, putting together different combos. I call this office my lab. This is where I put together combos that I intuit. And that's the world of Pisces, okay? I also have Mercury here, the planet of communication. So that adds to that whole Aquarian air nature that I have in my fifth house. I love communicating, and I do it in various forms. I do it through videos, I do it through writing, I do it through imagery, all different types of communication. So you're just going to want to look at all of this because it's helpful for you to know if you have planets here that are adding extra energy, because you want to embrace that as part of your fifth house. It's what brings you joy. I love being a communicator. Okay, so that's that step. And then you're also going to want to look at if any of the planets have a little R next to them. I do not have any here, but I'm going to show you. Take a look here at my Jupiter. You see the little R there. The other place to look is if you find that planet over in this list and look at Jupiter, it's got a little R at the end of the line. What that indicates is the planet is retrograde at the time of your birth. That shows particular mastery that you brought to this life. And again, very much like Aquarius, this is going to be a very unique viewpoint that you have to come to over a lifetime. You have to come to an understanding of of embracing that planet, because you're not going to find a lot of match out here in the outer world to your truth that planet brings for you. It's essentially like you have the planet within you. It's very deep mastery. Okay, so that's just another thing to look out for. And it holds a lot of weight in an astrological chart when there are retrogrades, which most charts have them, at least one. So that's in terms of your fifth house. And this is, again, the internal inspiration. This is that inner child. This is what gets you out of bed in the morning. And it's a great place to direct your thoughts if you're feeling really lethargic and what have you. You got to start embracing at a minimum the element and the sign. What am I going to learn today or be able to create today with my mind, with my communication ability that is different? I want to be different. That's what mine is saying here. So for you, you're going to want to know that. Then across the way is the 11th house. This has to do with how we create, how we are the scientists in the lab of life. This is out with our tribe. This is among a bigger network of people. Okay, and not necessarily, this isn't, the work setting is more in the 10th house. This is about, remember, it's about your passions. What are you passionate about? And this is the broader network of that. You have passion within in the 5th house. How you bring it out and find your people is the 11th house. It is often what we are passionate about is often has a basis in humanity and compassion for humanity. And that's the 11th house where that gets spread out to. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing. You're going to look at this line that kicks off the 11th house. What element is this? For me, this is fire. And what sign is this? For me, this is Leo. So that says that I am really using my inspiration thread when I embrace those new solutions within me that come forward, particularly in communication. And I show them out there. Leo is on the stage. That's why I do videos every week. I just knew I needed to do that. And then I'm among my group. I'm among my people, because all of you who are listening are among my tribe. I value equally what you have to bring to the table. I value equally that you are members of this group, that we're all interested in the same sorts of things. And I'm kind of intrigued, like, well, what are they working on and what are they working on? But the way that I get out there and be among people is to be up on my own stage of some sort and to be quite animated. Leo is ruled by the sun. It's very kind of witty and just enjoys tremendous enjoyment of life. And so I like to exude that, and I do it naturally through embracing this part of my chart when I'm doing what I'm passionate about. Okay? And it's a good tie-in because the 5th house across the way is ruled by Leo. So I have a nice synergy built into my chart. I have natural opposites built in for the rulerships. The 11th house is ruled by Aquarius. So I have this nice pull on either end where I'm almost embodying the opposite automatically. So you're going to want to look at, do you have any planets in your 11th house? Are there any retrogrades? And then, take a look at, and that, again, all the 11th house information is that end of the inspiration thread that has to do with how you can best find inspiration among your people. And this is, the 11th house is not about you alone being the inspiration. This is being part of something bigger. Okay, so it's not just about you here. You have inner inspiration here and further fueling when you're out there with your tribe. That's what fuels, because we get more information. Again, this is all about being in the lab. We get further data and information when we're out among our people, and then we can bring that back inward and say, okay, what do I think about that? Or what do I intuit about that? Or how am I going to take action on that? Or how can I apply that to sort of some kind of plan that I've got in place? Whatever that is for you, these two work in combination. So again, if you're not feeling any kind of inspiration internally, get out there with your people. And this element and sign will tell you a lot, as well as your planets. That gives you the guideposts to find them. That's it. So I'm really drawn to other people who are up on stage. I can name numerous ones of them, whether they are really out in the public, like on a YouTube channel, or do retreats or what have you, or artists. I'm just drawn to those people who are very public about what makes them different. Okay, that's how I'm tying these two together. They're very public, Leo, fire, passionate. But what am I looking for within them? It's that they're different. They have different ways of processing this world, and I really appreciate that. So that's how I find greater inspiration out here, and as I embody it too, then I get even more of that. So that's, if you're not feeling it within, you look to your tribe. If you're not feeling it with your tribe, you got to look back here to say, but okay, so what matters to me? What is my inspiration? What am I looking for? And I know for me, it's people who are really adept in terms of their processing and their ability to communicate, whether that's through art or the spoken word or the written word. There's something being churned through and they're putting together really unique combinations. That is inspiring to me. And this feeling of being able to communicate, and that they've got a deeper level, of tapping into an intuitive source for their inspiration that is about hope and belief. Okay, and so you use these as two ends of the thread, and you will know if this is ultra powerful for you if you have a red line that connects one of your planets over to a planet in here in the 11th house. You can see, as an example, my Pluto. You see there's a red line over to the sun sitting in my 6th house. So I'll be talking about that on the next thread reading. That indicates, astrologers call this an opposition. I call it an alignment. This is extra powerful. This is like a superpower because it crosses you in the center. You are the magnet that brings those two planets together. So there is added synergy there, and it might come in the form of some rub, which is what creates fire, what creates inspiration. It's new creation. That's when you see that in a chart, that's what's happening, and you're volleying between the two and using them sometimes against each other in order to create something new. So if you've got that, really pay attention to the planetary meanings, okay? And what sign they're in, what that element is, if they're retrograde, all of that matters in a chart reading. And of course, you can go deeper on this. You can look at the Sabian symbol attached to either the point of where your 11th house starts or where your 5th house starts. There's an exact point of that start of that house. That can be looked at with the Sabian symbols. And new to me this week as an epiphany is an even deeper one. The Sabian symbol that is the seed. It is the tool, the symbol that you pack in your backpack and you say, I know how to do this, and I'm going to use that knowledge, that wisdom to reach for this. That's the rounding up of the Sabian symbol versus the symbol right where it's at. That's the seed, and then you have a blossoming symbol. So that's exciting to me that we have this even deeper level to explore this information, okay? Very important. So that's another level that I'm happy to help folks with, or you can look at that yourself by checking out in astro.com when you have your chart pulled up. There's a little button that says additional tables, and that will show you the houses and the exact degree point of where this comes down. And let's say for the 11th house, I can see that right over here. It's Leo 21 degrees, 8 minutes. So I would, for my seed symbol, I would look at Leo 21. For my blossoming symbol for my 11th house, I would look at Leo 22. Okay? And then you just intuit even deeper. This is what I love about astrology. You can be at any level of it that you want, or you can keep winding on down, which I love because I have very strong scorpionic energy, and I love getting down to these deep, deep portions of meaning, okay? Up to you how far you want to go down. It's totally fine to just keep it at the element and the sign. If you want, or you just keep it at the element, that's okay too. It's up to you. That's the beauty of astrology. You focus on what matters to you. But there is so much meaning to be received out of this data and how we put that together, how we see how that ties together. And again, the beauty of the threads, if you feel chaos or lack of clarity, and in this case, lack of inspiration among your people, your tribe, you got to look internally then. You got to look to your inner child. If you don't feel inspiration from within, that inner child seems to be taking a nap, you got to look out here. You got to look to people who embody your sign, your element, any planets. That will surely bring a new sense of inspiration that gets things chugging within. Okay? This is a really, really good one, I think. Really important. Clearly a big one for me, a big focus with the North Node there. All right? So I hope that that's helpful. And next week, I'll be back for our final thread in this series. So I'm sad to see it come to an end, but this has been a real fun journey. So I will hopefully see you next week, and if not the week after that. I try to do them weekly, but we will see. So I will plan to see you then. Bye-bye.